If you're a software engineer, a designer, or you're building a software product right now, you might be designing the wrong thing. Have a look at this video. It was completely generated by AI. I mean, not a piece of art, but just look until the end. And right after this, I'll show you exactly how it was made, because I think it reveals something much bigger, what the future of software design is going to look like. And it might be very, very different from what we're building today. Check it out. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Obviously, this video was a joke from between me and my friends when we were having a discussion around how our partners can brainwash us sometimes and help us to maybe change perspective. But as I was building this video, I was just thinking, oh, cool, like this is great content to actually show what I'm about to share with you about the future of software design. So typically, how I would, well, first, there's absolutely no way I could have done this in a weekend before AI. So we're not talking about what AI can do in terms of capabilities in this video. We're talking about how actually interacted with the AI, because I think this is the most interesting bit. I use a software called Higgsfield. So if you don't know Higgsfield, just go on higgsfield.ai. What is very good with Higgsfield is that they're an aggregator of text to video models, and they have the latest and greatest model, and you can easily switch. So you pay them, you have an API key, and at that point with this, you can access all the different models, whether it's text to image or text to video, and so on and so forth. So you don't have to just buy different subscription to different model. You only buy a subscription to Higgsfield, and then you can buy like tokens, or you can buy like credits and so on and so forth. Now, I love Higgsfield, but the problem I have with Higgsfield is that I find their UX and their UI super bad. Like I find it just like it's quite bad. What they've done, and I think that they're rushing to create as many features as possible, and then they have like this crazy like image, like up. Look at this. Like there's so many menus here. It is so confusing. Video, same thing. Like, oh my god, like so many menus. So I think personally, I think that they actually don't care about this. This is just a front for them to have an online presence and to rank on SEO, and to also let other models to reference them in their memory. But I think that Higgsfield probably has probably the same view on what I'm going to share with you in terms of what is the future of UI UX, because the future of UI UX is definitely not what you're seeing right now here. This is really ugly and messy. The better way to use Higgsfield, in my opinion, is to use their skills and their skills is just recipes on how to use their APIs, what they do to an MCP server or a CLI. I'm not going to go into the details of MCP and CLI. That will be for another video. So please consider subscribing to the channel if you want to understand the difference between CLI, skills, MCP, and so on and so forth. One video is coming very soon about this topic. In their case, Higgsfield has a series of skills that allows you to control their CLI and allows you to simply interact with this crazy system just by talking. And this is what I've been doing to generate the video that you've just seen. So instead of interacting with this crazy UI, I've just been interacting with this, with my normal Claude. And I've been talking about, this is the story I want to create. This is the plot. I've created 2 soul IDs. So a soul is in Higgsfield the ability for you to upload a lot of pictures of yourself or any of your friends. And once you upload that, you train the model to recreate yourself. So you have a kind of synthetic you. And this is what allows you to create consistency between shots instead of having to take picture of you in different poses with different facial expressions. This is pretty good, but not perfect. So in a nutshell, how that works is that I went through just talking about the scenario, the plot, and so on and so forth. And what I ended up doing is generating all the different frames. Not the different frames, but the story is split in scenes. And for each scene, there's a start and an end frame. So for example, here you're seeing the very first frame of the first sequence. And here is the last frame of the first sequence. Obviously, the last frame of sequence number 1 is the first frame of sequence number 2. Here is the last frame of sequence number 2, and so on and so forth. So these are just the thing that I'm working on first with Higgsfield, and I'm literally chatting with it. So I'll be saying, or change this, change that. And I'll also trying to make sure that, for example, this is in the bar scene. I'm making sure that the background stays consistent between shots, because this is something that would just create problems. And you work on this with the software. A good example of a problem I had is the following, where the face of Lynn was not correct. And so this is exactly what I recorded when that happened. Here you can see that this is one of the render. And for me, I mean, it's not too bad. So I'm going to keep this one. But the character on the right doesn't look like my wife, Lynn. So what I've done is I've copied the name of the picture here. And here in Claude, I've simply said that, okay, this one is okay. But again, Lynn does not look like Lynn. Please try harder with Lynn's soul. So you can see here, the interface that I used to create and interact with the system is not through a UI anymore. It's simply through conversation. And I think this is really the new paradigm where you describe what you want, see the output, and then based on the output, give a feedback to the system. And I think here, this is a great way. You could do everything I'm doing to the Higgsfield web app, but personally, I find it quite complicated and twisted. I prefer to simply describe what I want directly here and then see the result and iterate very fast through that. So here's the result, and I'm still not super happy with this. This is what the soul created for my wife, and this is not exactly her, especially the jawline is not correct. So this was the before, and this is the after. It's a bit better, but still far from what I want. So I'm going to simply say, I'm going to take this image here, and I'm going to say, this image is still it's a bit better. However, still doesn't really look like Lynn. Can you please try to generate 4 attempts again? Trying to do a better job using Lynn's soul ID. And also, can you please make her smile and show her teeth? Because there she's smiling, but it's a bit subdued, a smile, and I'd prefer a bigger smile to make her look like happier. But hopefully this second attempt to fix my wife's face is a win. We'll see in a second. All right, so the results are in. Let's check it out. This one is not bad, actually. I think this one is quite close. Again, not perfect, but I'll settle on this one. So now you get it. You can see that this is quite simple. And again, imagine that I'm not a filmmaker, and this is probably a really mediocre short little story. But imagine what a professional filmmaker or a professional director of photography could do. They could just define the right cameras, the right lenses, the right angles, the right sequence, the right storyboards, and so on and so forth. All those things that, because I'm not a professional filmmaker, I'm not capable of doing. The only thing I can do as an average Joe doing this type of project is what I'm showing you right now. But you get the gist of it. And once we have all those different pictures, you simply say to higgsfield now, based on all those start and end frames, go ahead and generate the full movie. And it's exactly how I ended up creating the movie that you saw recently. Now, here we're really getting into the core of my point, is that no more Final Cut Pro, no more Adobe Premiere, like those software that first are expensive and second are extremely hard to master. Like, I'm not sure if you've ever opened Visual Final Cut Pro, or if you've ever opened Adobe Premiere. Those software are daunting just the first time you arrive there. If you're not a professional filmmaker, if you go in those systems, or DaVinci, for example, they're very, very complicated. And it takes a lot of time to learn how to, the different concepts and how to use them. Whereas here, anybody can talk. Anybody can simply say, oh, I have an idea for a story. It goes like this. And then just following the little process I've just explained to you with the start and end frame for each scene, you can get started and create this. It's very, very simple. No buttons, no UI, just your chat. That's it. And this is the future of software design. As simple as that. The ability to simply chat and get a result and iterate very, very, very fast. Now, I'm not going to lie, this took actually a decent amount of time to produce, because every time you explain you want an image, the model takes time. It takes time to generate a shot. And then when you refine them, it also takes time, and also takes time to generate the full videos. It's also not that cheap. This entire project cost around, I think I spent around $60 American to build this project. For a little joke between my friends and I, that's not a cheap joke. But still, $60. It depends on how you look at it. $60 for this type of thing, if you're a professional, it's peanuts. Now you can just imagine that moving forward, generating those images is going to become cheaper and faster. At that point, the new mindset is to generate as quickly as possible and review. So I can already hear some of you saying, oh, but you don't have control. You can change this, you cannot change that. And I think you're right. Like with Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, you really have access to the ability to pinpoint exactly which frames things go wrong and correct them and edit exactly where you want. But I think this is a mindset you need to learn to change. And instead, learn how to iterate super fast, because now it is extremely cheap to generate assets. So might as well generate as many as you can and then choose the one you like. And same thing with edits. If you don't like an edit, just regenerate it. And this new way of interacting with software, first, it's extremely fun, because instead of talking about technicalities, you talking about what you want and how you feel and how you want those feelings to translate to the medium. I think the biggest issue with the current software paradigm with those user interface is that the user interface is not the end goal. The user interface is just a hack between what you have here, the fact that you're using your hands, you have a computer and a keyboard, you're trying to create something tangible. And we've designed software and interface because of this limitation. Now we have this new tool that can use directly what you have here to what you want to produce. And you just need to re-articulate and relearn how to phrase what you want. It's not, oh, I'm going to click on this button, I'm going to use this filter, I'm going to use this feature in the software because I want to create this emotion. No, you go straight to the emotion. You go straight from, I want the user to feel this, and I want them to feel this by providing this outcome. So you go straight to the outcome using natural language, and then you let the AI help you create this. I think it's a very, very different mindset, but this is the future of software, in my opinion. Another great example is the video you're watching right now. I'm recording this video on my webcam with a software called Telat. And the editing is done partly in Tela, but the rest of the editing with all the text that you may have seen before, all the animations, is done through Claude too. Again, no Final Cut Pro, no Adobe Premiere. I just talk with my computer. I provided the MP4 from Tela with the transcript, and then I asked Claude using a skill called Remotion to edit my video and add those animations, and it did it. And I don't have to worry about how to cut, how to edit, how to create those animations. And AI does it. And then if I don't like it, I say, I don't like the text, I don't like the font, I don't like the borders, I don't like the animations, I don't like this, I don't like that, and it changes it for me. This is the future of software. No more UI, no more user interface, just a bunch of skills that have the ability to talk to a third party, whether it's an API like Higgsfield or a software like Remotion, and that's it. So you've heard me talking about skills many times in this video, and that's a great segue for the sponsor of this video, which is Happy Skills, my own company. Happy Skills.ai is a registry of skills where you can find any skill you need, including the skills that I've mentioned in this video, like the Higgsfield skill or my own skills. And you can also create your skills on Happy Skills. And the key design with Happy Skills and the key value proposition is that you never leave your chat, whether it's Codex, Cursor, or Claude. You do everything from your chat. You find skills, you create skills, you publish skills, and you never have to leave your chat. So how do you install Happy Skills? Very simple. Here, I'm using a terminal because I'm a software engineer. But if you don't like the terminal, you can also do that in the Claude Code app or in Codex. And in your chat, you simply type this. Go to install.happyskills.ai and install it. That's it. As simple as that. And what this is going to do is that it's going to install a few skills globally on your computer. You don't have to worry about the rest. Once they're installed, they're already installed on my machine, so I'm going to stop that. Then you're going to see that you have access to a lot of Happy Skills. Completely free. It doesn't do anything at this stage. So once Happy Skills is installed, you can say something like this. Use Happy Skills to find all the skills to use Higgsfields. That's it. As simple as that. What this is going to do is that this is simply going to do a search, a bit like Google. And based on your query, it's going to find all the top skills that match your query. The great thing about this is that you don't need to know the exact name of the skill, which is one of the problems that Happy Skills fix, which is you want to simply do something. You don't want to know what skills are available. There are so many, and where are they hosted? Are they on GitHub? Are they somewhere else? Like, who knows? Here, you could say use Happy Skills to help me build a web application using React.js. I'm a lawyer. I specialize in intellectual properties, and I want to have all the skills to help me build this project, whether it's for the legal part or the technical part. Now, notice that here, by using this query, you're not even specifying which type of skills you want. Happy Skill will be smart enough to figure out what are the skills that could help you build this project. And it'll suggest a list of skills, and it's up to you to decide if you want to install them or not. All right, so that's it. The search results are back. And you can see that we've already installed one skill here in this project for the higgsfield generate, but it has spanned other higgsfields skill. This one here is for generating a soul. This one here is for product photo shoots, and so on and so forth. So you can then, after that, say something like, use Happy Skills to install the product photo shoot skill and the video explainer skill. At that point, what Happy Skill will do is that it'll simply get those skills and install that on your computer. Whether by default, it'll install that locally on your project, but you could say, install those skills globally. At that point, what it'll do is it'll simply install those skills globally. I think you should not do that. And that's the question. That's another topic for another video. So please consider subscribe on why you should be very careful in deciding between installing a skill globally or locally. And that's it. So that's for finding and installing skills. Another thing that Happy Skill is amazing at is helping you create skills. Now, out of the box, Claude ships with a create skill sphere, but this skill sucks. I'm not going to go into details on why it sucks, but trust me, creating skills is a bit of an art at this stage, and you want to make sure you're creating good skills. The other great thing with Happy Skills is that it does more than just creating a skill, it also versions them. So every time you create a skill, it will add a version, meaning that next time you update that skill, then it'll automatically bump that version. And at that point, that means that you can deploy as many versions as you want. And if one day you realize that you broke something, you can still come back to a previous version. For all the changes you make and you deploy and you publish, you can always recover them. That is very useful for software engineers. That's something that we do in software engineering a lot, but obviously there's many other disciplines that would benefit from that. And you don't have to worry about it. Now Happy Skill does that just for you automatically. The other great thing is that once you publish the skill, you don't have to worry where you're putting. It goes in Happy Skills and you can make it public or private. Obviously public, everybody will be able to find your skill. But if you want to keep it secret, or if you want to only share it with certain people, you make it private, and then you simply invite other people to that skill, and those people will be able to use that skill. So that's it. So that's why you should be using Happy Skills. You're probably wondering, why would I create skills myself? And this is also a topic for another video. Please consider subscribing. I'll explain what are all the different types of skills you may want to create. There are a few types, categories. And then trust me, once you understand how skills work, you'll be creating a lot of them. So stay tuned for this. Now, let's go back to the video. Another great use case of this paradigm shift in how we design software is designing YouTube thumbnails. So the way I design my YouTube thumbnails is just using Claude. And before, I would use Canva. And mind you, Canva, I think, is an amazing company in terms of how much time and effort and care they've put in creating an amazing UI UX. And I think that's what made Canva so successful, is because they had so much empathy for their users that were probably frustrated to use Photoshop, and Photoshop is quite hard to use. But with Canva, I think they really managed to make things intuitive. But despite that, despite all the amazing efforts of Canva to create an amazing software, I personally feel Canva has been completely disrupted by AI. Because again, I have stopped using Canva to use my YouTube thumbnails, and instead I simply use Claude. So here's an example where I have a YouTube video where the title is something along the lines, Claude skills 10x your quality with better project memory. I think that's the title of the video. And I've asked Claude to connect to Higgsfield, and I'm very, very happy with the quality of the render and also the quality of how this character here looks like me. So I really, really like that. However, the concepts are really bad. So what I can do here is that I simply go in Claude and I say, none of those concepts are great. They really do not translate at all the original title that I gave you. Remember that the title I gave you is around 10xing the productivity or quality of the work using project memory. And in those thumbnails, concept that you've created, there's absolutely nothing that relates to memory or improvements or even being 10x better. So you really have to just change your approach to how to create something extremely engaging that when a user see it in their YouTube feed, they really want to click on it. So come up with 3 new concepts that do a way better job at translating the title of the video into something that makes perfect sense visually and that really engages or entice the viewer to click on it. So notice here that what I really love about this new way of interacting with software is that I'm not really talking about technicality. I'm more talking about how I feel and how I want other people to feel. And I let the model use their own expertise and knowledge to trying to fill the gaps and really completely change the interactions that you have with your software. Here, it's really a more emotional way to phrase what you really want. And this is also a complete different change of mindset. All right, the results are in, and let's have a look at the concepts.
So this one, not too bad. I quite like this one. Yeah, this one is crap.
I think this one is not bad. I quite like it because now we have the concept of memory. And it's also a bit creepy. We also have like an infinite logo in the back, and the character looks like me. So I'm gonna choose this one because I think that it's a bit weird, and I quite like it. It's actually weird. Hopefully, it creates some engagement with people that would just see this on YouTube. So this one is a winner. So notice that it was quite simple for me to ask for a completely new brief and a completely different approach, and for the system to generate this. So where did that leave us? Well, I've shown you how software for video editing and image creation are being completely disrupted from a UI UX perspective. You can obviously extrapolate this to every other software. I'm a software engineer. So obviously, for me, IDEs have been completely disrupted, like Visual Studio, Visual Code, Sublime, JetBrain. I mean, all those companies and products are completely disrupted because I'm coding with Claude Code using my voice. So this has already been part of my real life for the past 2 years when it comes to shading software. Now I'm doing this with video editing, image creation, but I'd love to be able to do that with accounting. I'm using a software called Zero, and I'm still like going through a user interface, but really what I would prefer is to deal with my accounting through this method. And I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. Now, the question is, when is it going to happen? And the other question is, if you're building software right now, should you build it this way? And I think here the answer is not black and white, because at the end of the day, if you're building a software, you're building a business. And if you're building a business, the question is, what do my customer want? The reality is that people like me that do everything through AI are still a small minority. a minority that is growing quite fast, but still not the vast majority. And at the end of the day, your business, its bottom line, depends on how many users want to interact with the software this way or the old way. So I guess that's the only thing that you should be considering. What I'd suggest though is if you're still building UI and UX because your user wants it, also consider creating APIs and designing APIs in a way that are friendly to AI, in a way where those APIs can easily be integrated with AI. And there is a very specific way to do this. And I'm going to create videos specifically on that topic because I've done that myself for a few projects, and I've definitely done that for Happy Skills. So if you want to know how to update your APIs and your systems to be very friendly and compliant and ready for AI integration, please consider subscribing to this channel or even get in touch with me because I've done that multiple times in production, and there are definitely gotchas and also very quick wins on how to design those systems. So stay tuned on this. Thank you for watching the video, and I'm looking forward to talk more about this, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.